Chapter 2. Are we just too different? 2. Are we just too different? When people try to account for why certain couples break up, the emphasis typically falls on the idea of difference. A disorganized creative type was up against a managerial, ordered one. One of them liked hill walking, while the other hated the outdoors. One was gregarious, while the other loathed parties. It seems unsurprising that they had to split. This explanation is underpinned by a dominant theory of love. The reason why couples function is similarity. What tears them apart is difference. We get an inkling of just how widespread this theory might be when we consider the operations of modern dating sites. In their wish to help us find what they term the right person, they scour their databases to try to match us with someone who shares the greatest number of our tastes, interests, and attitudes. The theory is that the smaller the number of differences, the more likely the relationship is to work. However plausible this might sound, it skirts a fundamental truth about love that we ignore at enormous cost. No couple ever breaks up because of the differences between them. They break up because one of them is fed up of not being heard. A couple might disagree on 1,000 things, from the optimal frequency of sex to what kind of social life to lead, and still stay together, while another couple might be similar in almost every area, but be torn apart by a vicious sense that their competing realities are not being recognized. What ultimately counts for the success of love is not whether there are differences, but how differences are handled, whether with curiosity, a willingness to change, mutual forgiveness and modesty, or in the doomed cases, with defensiveness, rigidity and entrenchment. We know that compatibility cannot be the basis of lasting love because, by its logic, it invariably ends up escalating absurdly. Two people who like reading, crosswords, northern Italian cooking, ice hockey and the music of Joni Mitchell might fall passionately in love at first, but gradually grow cross with one another as they learn that one is sympathetic to ballroom dancing, while the other wants to think more about archaeology. Or one favors ragu, while the other is partial to casseroles and pies. The temptation is to resolve such frictions by abandoning all divergent partners and refining our search criteria ever more tightly. But this only forces us to seek out implausible degrees of alignment. We may end up searching for a partner who is keen on fly fishing and the novels of John le Carré, but doesn't like salted butter and is good at shutting cupboard doors, or someone who loves going camping in North Cornwall in September, but who is interested in the Liberal Party, yet is also an enthusiast of tactical voting. However, of course, two such well-matched people could easily come to blows over the colour of bedroom curtains, their choice of children's names, the use of napkins or the ethics of fracking. Pre-existing compatibility can only get us so far. At some point, even the best-matched partner will emerge as being unlike us in some way. What then matters is how the mismatch is handled. One kind of response is charming and almost aphrodisiacal in quality, the other is disappointing and, over time, insufferable. This is what we need to hear when a conflicting perspective rears its head. I hear you. I understand what you're saying. I'm going to think about that. Perhaps I will need to change. In other words, we need to feel that our point of difference has been witnessed and, to a degree, respected. The partner may not accept our position or observation entirely, but they can see where we are coming from and are committed to examining our stance. Because they know that it matters to us, and they fundamentally respect our existence. They don't rush to take every uncomfortable issue off the table. In relation to gently worded complaints or criticisms, they do not immediately deny our remarks and grow enraged. They don't turn around and tell us that a problem lies entirely with us, that we're being deliberately mean, that we're the oddball, not them. And why are we complaining anyway when they've had such a hard day, and this is the last straw? They strive not to take immediate offense, get stern or fall apart, or if they do, they apologize and try again. They are alive to the idea that they may need to evolve their position. On the other hand, what gradually destroys love in the long term, even in the case of the most apparently well-matched couples, is an attitude of defensive pride, a shutting of the ears, a refusal to countenance that the partner may be trying to say something of desperate importance to them and has the right to be heard with a certain degree of goodwill and tolerance. In the end, defensiveness is the single greatest explanation for all divorces. The inability to listen with grace to what another person is saying without resorting to stubborn pride and denial. There are no problems so grave that they make it too hard to stay. There are no differences in social attitudes or interior design tastes so severe as to doom a love affair. There are only ever terrible ways for frustrations to be expressed and heard. The lover we desperately need is not the person who shares our every taste and interest. It is the kindly soul who has learnt to negotiate differences in taste with modesty and curiosity.